Good day, beloved brothers and sisters all over the world.
Scripture for today.
Hebrews 10 verse 36.
You need endurance.
Topic for today.
Do I have enough endurance?
Have you ever started something with excitement only to discover later that it required far more endurance than you expected? Perhaps it was a long-term project, a health challenge, raising a family, or pursuing an important goal. At first, enthusiasm carried you forward. But as time passed, obstacles appeared. Fatigue set in. Discouragement whispered, "Maybe this is too hard." Endurance is not usually needed for short tasks. It is needed for long journeys. Life itself is a long journey. We endure economic pressure. We endure emotional strain. We endure illness, disappointment, injustice, and uncertainty. The ability to endure often determines whether we succeed or give up. The Bible acknowledges this reality. In Hebrews 10 verse 36, Christians were told plainly, "You need endurance." Not, "You might need it." Not, "It would be helpful." But, "You need endurance." Why was this message so urgent for first-century Christians? And why is it just as urgent for us today? Let us explore the pressures facing Hebrew Christians, why endurance was essential for them, the challenges we face today, how we can develop and maintain endurance, the reward that makes endurance worthwhile. The letter to the Hebrews was written during a tense and dangerous time. Conditions in Judea were deteriorating. Political unrest was growing. Religious hostility was intensifying. Christians, especially Jewish Christians, were under increasing pressure. Some of these Hebrew Christians had already endured persecution. They had faced public reproach. Some had been imprisoned. Others had their property plundered. Yet Paul reminded them in Hebrews 12 verse 4 that they had not yet resisted to the point of having their blood shed. In other words, they had suffered, but not to the extent Jesus had suffered. However, the atmosphere was becoming more dangerous. Jewish opposers were growing increasingly bitter and fanatical. Just a few years earlier, more than 40 men had taken an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul the Apostle. See Acts 23 verses 12-14. That level of hatred was real. It was intense. It was organized. In such a climate, it would have been easy for Christians to withdraw, to hide, or to become spiritually passive. But they could not. They still needed to meet together for worship, preach the good news, maintain moral cleanness, keep their faith strong. All of that required endurance. Why endurance was essential endurance is more than patience. It is not merely waiting. It is active perseverance. The Greek word used in Hebrews implies remaining under pressure without giving up. The Hebrew Christians had accepted Christianity during a period of relative peace. But now, circumstances were changing. It is one thing to serve God when conditions are calm. It is another to remain faithful when opposition grows stronger. Paul warned them not to lose their boldness, which had a great reward. But he reminded them, "You need endurance so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the fulfillment of the promise." Hebrews 10 verse 35-36. Notice the sequence. Do God's will. Endure. Receive the promise. Without endurance, they would not reach the fulfillment. Lessons for us today. We may not face the same political conditions as first-century Judea, but we face our own challenges. Some experience opposition from family. Others endure ridicule at work. Many face moral pressure in a society that promotes values contrary to Bible principles. In addition, we deal with financial strain, health problems, emotional exhaustion, ongoing global uncertainty. Like the Hebrew Christians, we may have begun our spiritual journey during relatively calm times. But as conditions change, our need for endurance increases. Christian life is not a sprint, it is a marathon. Over time, constant pressure can lead to fatigue. Meetings may feel routine. Preaching may feel difficult. Personal study may be neglected. Prayer may become brief or mechanical. That is why Hebrews repeatedly encourages believers to avoid drifting away. Endurance requires spiritual fuel. Just as a runner must hydrate and refuel during a long race, we must nourish our faith regularly. Endurance does not appear automatically. It is cultivated. Keep meeting together in Hebrews 10 verses 24, 25. Christians were urged not to forsake gathering together. Why? Because association strengthens endurance. When we meet with fellow believers, we are reminded that we are not alone. We hear experiences that build faith. We receive encouragement. Isolation weakens endurance. Unity strengthens it. Maintain a clear focus on the hope. Endurance becomes easier when the goal is clear. The Hebrew Christians had a promise ahead of them. That promise made present trials meaningful. If we focus only on present difficulties, discouragement grows. But when we focus on Jehovah's promises, perspective changes. Jesus endured the torture stake because of the joy set before him. The future reward helped him endure present pain. Similarly, our hope strengthens our resolve. Pray for strength. Endurance is not based solely on personal determination. We rely on Jehovah's strength. Prayer invites divine help. It reminds us that we do not endure alone. Jehovah does not expect us to carry burdens without support. Paul reminded the Hebrews of earlier days when they endured successfully. Remembering past faithfulness builds confidence for present trials. Think of times when you faced difficulty but remained loyal. Those experiences prove that endurance is possible. Returning to the first century, imagine being a Christian in Jerusalem after hearing that 40 men had sworn to kill Paul. Would that not create fear? Yet the congregation did not collapse. They continued worshiping. They continued preaching. Their courage was not based on favorable conditions. It was based on conviction. Similarly, today we cannot allow hostility or negative trends to weaken our resolve. Fanaticism and hatred may intensify in various forms, but endurance keeps us steady. Hebrews 10 verse 36 connects endurance directly to receiving the promise. Jehovah does not forget endurance. Every act of faithfulness under pressure matters. Even small daily choices, attending meetings when tired, maintaining integrity at work, refusing to compromise morally, are part of endurance. And endurance leads somewhere. It leads to fulfilled promises. The example of Jesus. Though Hebrews 12 verse 4 reminded Christians they had not yet suffered to the point of death, it also pointed to Jesus' example. Jesus endured extreme suffering. He remained faithful despite betrayal, injustice, and physical pain. His endurance resulted in exaltation and everlasting blessing for humanity. We follow his pattern on a smaller scale. Ask yourself, Am I building endurance now? Do I prepare for future tests by strengthening faith today? Do I view challenges as opportunities to grow stronger? Endurance is developed gradually. Each test we pass increases our capacity for the next one. The Hebrew Christians were living on the edge of dramatic historical events. Within a few years, Jerusalem would be destroyed. Their endurance during that critical period was essential for survival. We, too, live in significant times. Regardless of when major events unfold, we know one truth. We need endurance, not just momentary enthusiasm, not occasional effort, but steady, loyal perseverance. You need endurance. Those words from Hebrews 10 verse 36 are simple yet profound. First-century Christians faced increasing hostility, religious fanaticism, and serious threats. Yet they were called to keep meeting, keep preaching, and keep believing. Endurance was not optional. It was essential. Today, we face our own forms of pressure, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. But like them, we draw strength from association. Focus on the promised reward. Pray for divine help. Remember past faithfulness. Follow Jesus' example. Endurance transforms pressure into growth. It turns trials into joy. It carries us from promise to fulfillment. So when challenges arise, when fatigue sets in, when opposition intensifies, remember these inspired words. You need endurance. And with Jehovah's help, you can endure and receive the fulfillment of the promise.